Hey guys, it's JP, and this time I'm going to talk about a simple way to reduce your risk of injury as you run, especially for those starting to prepare for long distance races like the 5K, half marathon, and marathon. I want to go over this due to the high incidence of injuries that occur during running. This is based on some research looking at the incidence of running related injuries in novice runners. It basically showed that this could range up to 80% of these runners. Further looking at the research, as well as experience working with them as a physical therapist, one of the most common reasons for running related injuries is due to training errors. This is usually a case of too much, too soon. This is why one of my top tips for people beginning to train again is to manipulate only one variable at a time when creating a running schedule. Now, this could get complex as there are multiple variables that can be changed. However, I want you to focus on some simple variables to change in this order. The first is frequency. This means changing the amount of times you run in a week. This could mean something like going from 3 times a week to 4 times a week of running. This is important for a variety of reasons. However, one big reason is that it creates consistency. It makes you set out a time to run and helps you establish running as part of your own routine. Now the next variable is duration. This involves changing how long your run is. This could mean running for 15 minutes initially, then gradually building up to 20, then 30 minutes, and so on. However, you can also approach this a little differently, as instead of changing duration of the total session, you can change the duration of how long you run within the session. An example of this would be setting time to run 30 minutes a day, but during that session, you run for 2 minutes, then walk for 1 minute 10 times. Then, as you build tolerance to running, you can slowly build this up to a 4-minute run, 1-minute walk for 6 times. Incorporating this kind of method is particularly useful when returning someone to running when they have been sidelined by an injury, but this will be something I will probably go over in more detail another time. Now the third variable I would modify is intensity. This involves gradually increasing the intensity of the pace you are running at. Notice how I said intensity rather than just simply pace. This is because increasing pace is not the only way to increase intensity. Another way would be running on a hill or incline. If you maintain the same pace as you go uphill, the relative intensity of that run will be higher. This could technically account for something like weather too. For example, running when it's 85 to 90 degrees takes a lot more work compared to when it's 70 degrees at the same pace. Overall, to put this very simply, you can prioritize the amount of times you run through the week, then work on increasing the duration of these sessions, then begin to layer in some higher intensity sessions. An easy way to remember this is through the acronym FDI. This is coined and popularized by a well-respected physical therapist and coach, Chris Johnson. Now, before I finish the video, it is important to note that how exactly training is progressed depends on the runner and goals he or she is trying to achieve. I want to give you guys a simple framework to follow that works, but to really optimize training, this requires much more detail and is much more individualistic. Also, remember to keep in mind that this is more suited for novice runners preparing for longer distance races. The priorities of how variables are manipulated are different when it comes to shorter distance races like sprinting. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful to your own training routine and help you prepare for your next race you are training for. Let me know if you guys have any questions or any topics you'd like me to go over. And as always, thank you for watching.